Hello, everyone. This is Harry, your host. If you are a senior living in the United States, or if you help manage the finances of an older parent, spouse, or loved one, this update deserves your full attention. Over the past several days, a flood of headlines, social media posts, and online videos have circulated claims about a $2,700 stimulus check, an alleged IRS order, and so-called exact payment dates. Naturally, many people are asking the same questions. Is this real? Is this a new payment? Who qualifies? And when, if ever, would the money actually arrive? If you've felt confused, cautiously hopeful, or even anxious after hearing these claims, you are certainly not alone. Today, we are going to slow this conversation down, strip away the noise, and walk through the facts carefully and calmly, so you can clearly understand what is real, what is being misunderstood, and how to protect the benefits you rely on. I understand how unsettling it can be when large dollar amounts begin circulating online, especially when every dollar matters and financial mistakes can carry serious consequences. My purpose here is not to exaggerate headlines or create false hope. My goal is clarity, peace of mind, and ensuring that you neither miss money you are legitimately entitled to, nor fall victim to misinformation or scams. So let's begin with the most important point, because this single fact resolves most of the confusion immediately. The widely discussed $2,700 figure is not a brand new stimulus check that is automatically being sent to all seniors. There has been no new law passed approving a universal $2,700 payment. Instead, this number reflects a combination of real payments, corrections, and benefit adjustments that some seniors may receive, depending entirely on their individual circumstances. For certain individuals, these payments can indeed add up to an amount close to $2,700. For others, the total may be significantly smaller, or may not apply at all. Understanding where this number actually comes from is essential because that understanding protects you from disappointment, confusion, and financial exploitation. Part of the urgency surrounding this topic stems from the fact that several things are happening simultaneously. The Internal Revenue Service has been clearing long-standing backlogs, correcting past tax errors, and issuing delayed refunds and credits. At the same time, the Social Security Administration continues to review benefit records and issue retroactive payments when underpayments are discovered. When these processes overlap, and when people hear neighbors or family members talking about unexpected lump sum payments, it can easily sound like a brand new stimulus program, even when the money was actually owed all along. Let's now address where the $2,700 figure most commonly comes from, because this is where misinformation spreads fastest. In most cases, this amount is not a single payment. Instead, it is an estimated total created by adding together different payments that may arrive separately. One portion often comes from IRS corrections related to missed or underpaid stimulus-era tax credits. Another portion may come from Social Security benefit recalculations that result in retroactive payments. In some situations, state-level relief or rebates are also mixed into the conversation. When people hear fragments of these updates online, they often merge them into a single headline number, even though the funds originate from different sources and follow different timelines. Let's slow this down further by starting with the IRS side. Over the past year, the IRS has been reviewing millions of past tax returns, particularly those filed by low-income Americans and seniors. Many older Americans did not file tax returns during earlier stimulus years because their income was below the filing threshold. Others did file, but missed refundable credits tied to stimulus programs or had minor errors on their returns. In some cases, the IRS itself made mistakes during the rushed rollout of pandemic-era relief. As these records are reviewed and corrected, the IRS has been issuing payments, often automatically. These payments can range from a few $100s to over $2,000, depending on what was missed. For a senior living on a fixed income, receiving a lump sum payment like this can feel very much like a stimulus check, even though it is technically a refund or correction. And when people hear that one individual received, for example, $1,400 from an IRS correction and later received another adjustment, it's easy to see how these figures begin to accumulate in conversation. However, it is critical to remember that these payments are tied to individual tax histories. They are not automatic for everyone, and no one needs to pay a fee, hire a third party, or apply through unofficial channels to receive them. Another major contributor to the $2,700 discussion involves Social Security benefit adjustments. When the Social Security Administration discovers that a beneficiary was underpaid due to delayed earnings updates, recalculations after retirement, survivor benefit adjustments, or administrative errors, it issues a retroactive payment. These payments represent money that should have been paid earlier. They are not bonuses, and they are not new stimulus programs. But for someone who has waited months or even years for a correction, receiving a lump sum can feel life-changing. In some cases, these retroactive payments alone can reach several $1,000s. This is why understanding the source of the money matters far more than focusing on a headline number. When you know where the money comes from, you are far less likely to fall for false promises or pressure tactics. There is no phone call you need to answer to unlock this money. There is no special form that someone online can rush for you in exchange for a fee. Legitimate IRS refunds and Social Security adjustments are processed through official systems, either automatically or through official written notices. Anyone telling you otherwise is not acting in your best interest. Now, let's address the phrase that has caused so much anxiety: the so-called IRS order. Despite alarming wording, there is no emergency order, no new law, and no sudden rule creating a brand new stimulus program. What people are referring to is a set of internal IRS directives aimed at accelerating the processing of delayed refunds and corrections, particularly for seniors and low-income taxpayers who have waited far too long. This is not about creating new payments. It is about completing work that should have been done earlier. That distinction matters because misinformation thrives on urgency and fear. The reality is far calmer. If the IRS owes you money, it will be sent when your case is processed, without pressure, fees, or deadlines imposed through phone calls or messages. A common concern among seniors is whether these payments could affect Social Security or SSI benefits. For standard Social Security retirement benefits, IRS refunds and corrections are not earned income and generally do not affect monthly payments. Social Security retroactive payments are corrections, not bonuses, and typically do not reduce future benefits. SSI recipients do need to be more mindful as resource limits apply over time, but even then, careful planning, not panic, is the solution. Using funds for necessary expenses is often enough to remain compliant with program rules. Finally, let's talk about timing. There is no national payment date. IRS corrections and Social Security retroactive payments are issued on rolling schedules based on individual records. Two people can hear the same news on the same day and receive payments weeks or months apart. That does not indicate approval or denial. It simply reflects processing order. As we conclude, here is the central takeaway. The $2,700 figure represents real money for some seniors, but it is not a single new stimulus check, and it is not automatic for everyone. It reflects corrections and owed payments that are finally being processed. You earned your benefits. You deserve clarity, not confusion, and peace of mind, not fear. If this discussion helped you feel more informed or less anxious, I'm glad. Please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing so more seniors can access clear, honest information. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments.